15 years ago, well, nearly 16, I met the woman I was going to marry. I took my time, but eventually the dropped hints from her finally rung home, and I proposed to Sam just under 7 years ago. Coming to church originally as the done thing to qualify for marrying in a church, it became for me the right thing. And 6 years ago, I celebrated my new life, my newfound faith through baptism and confirmation. 5 years ago in June, Sam and I married here in St. Mark's. This evening, our reading from the end of Hebrews talks about marriage. Indeed, quite clearly it states, "Let marriage be held in honour among all." The Bible is telling us that marriage should always be thought of as precious. Let it be treasured, like gold and silver and rare jewels. Let it be revered and respected, like the noblest, most virtuous person you have ever known. In other words, when we think of marriage, let ourselves be gripped by emotions of tremendous respect and sanctity. In relation to marriage, cultivate the feeling that this not to be touched quickly or handled casually or treated commonly. In God's eyes, marriage is precious, and therefore, he says, let marriage be held in honour among all. In the time I've known Sam, and we became a couple, I know of at least 5 couples who have come together, married, and subsequently split again. With 34% of UK weddings ending before the 20th anniversary, and on average 42% of marriages ending in divorce, in the game of odds, placing a bet against a long-term relationship would sadly be a good bet. I'm certain that many who find themselves at the end of a marriage did not, of course, expect that end when entering into relationships with one another. None of us know what the future holds, and each of us are far from perfect. Indeed, it's our very imperfection that saw God redeem us through the gift of his Son, Jesus Christ. We're loved regardless of what happens in our relationships with one another, but in a throwaway world where permanence seems unimportant and marriage no longer appears to be for life, what is it that can keep a couple together? Of course, love and compatibility. Speaking from my own experience, we didn't rush into our married lives together. Thus we knew all about our annoyances, bad habits, and indeed, all the skeletons in the cupboard had been overcome long ago. But for me, what bears equal importance is combining faith with marriage. I've attended weddings of friends and families at registry offices, hotels, and most recently, the sunny beaches of the Caribbean, all led by a capable registrar. They can be a wonderful service because people you've known for years are finally coming together to declare to the world their love for one another. However, the promise is between just 2 people. With no mention of God, there is no overarching reason to sustain the marriage beyond the couple themselves. The service is generally shorter too. Indeed, a recent wedding at the Guildhall in Poole saw the service done and dusted within 20 minutes, half an hour, with the next wedding party waiting at the door for us to leave for their turn. I'm glad that I married in a church, and I'm glad I took marriage in a church seriously. A close second for the biblical reading in our service. We went for that one about love from Corinthians, but our second choice would have been from Ecclesiastes, which sums up to me why marriage in the sight of God can last. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good return for their labour. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. And I think that's it for me. A marriage between 2 can fall. With only the pair in the relationship, it's easier to come to argument because of individual selfish desires. However, if you add to the mix God, a third party, a third cord to the marriage, there's a stage set on Christian values, with a greater emphasis on the importance of that relationship. And we should take it seriously, despite the trend for marriages to be seen as something that can be entered into lightly and thrown away as easily. God loves it when we love Christians. And he loves it when we love strangers. And he loves it when we love prisoners. And he loves it when we don't love money, but trust him for our needs. And he loves it when we honour marriage. Why? Because love is good for Christians. And love is good for strangers. And love is good for prisoners. And not loving money is good for our souls. And honouring marriage is good for us and for our society. Ideals of love, sharing and giving yourself to another unselfishly, make for a stronger foundation in any walk of life. But when that walk is with another, the importance is even greater. We never walk alone. God is with us at every step. Amen.